Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. SAG-AFTRA Foundation and BroadwayWorld continue their Conversation Q&A series, which celebrates the vibrant theater community here in New York City and its union actors who work on both stage and screen. This special event, which is coming from the New School, is a conversation with one of Broadway's newest breakout stars. She is known to millions of fans as Tasty on the hit Netflix series Orange is the New Black. And now she is wowing critics and audiences alike in the John Doyle production of The Color Purple. Please welcome Danielle Brooks. You know, welcome. You are giving one of the finest performances as Sofia in the beautiful new production of The Color Purple. And you are making your Broadway debut.
Yes.
Is it all surreal?
It really is to be in this position right now in my career, the beginning stages of my career, to be on stage in The Color Purple, the first show that I ever saw on Broadway. Really blows my mind. It's delicious right now. It's like your grandmother's favorite pie. I don't know. It's like, it's been an incredible ride. It really has.
What was that day? You and I spoke opening night, and I spoke to you before then. There's nothing like a Broadway debut. It never gets old. It's always special. And everyone goes through their own journey with this, their own journey. What was yours like that whole day? Oh,
man. I just remember I was working for Orange is the New Black around all of this, in rehearsals, in previews, all the way up until opening night. So my brain was in that place as well as trying to live in the Color Purple world and get accustomed to being on a stage again with now 1,100 people watching me. And, really trying to take in the experience. And I think God works in mysterious ways, as the play says, because I needed that. I'm one to really be in my head a lot. And so to stay busy, I think really helped me to stay present on stage. But the night of opening night was very electrifying. It literally was electrifying. I remember just being nervous and trying to channel that nervousness because you're stepping in the role that Oprah originated, which is like a lot to take in, and my parents were there and all of my friends, the celebrities, everybody's gonna review it. And I haven't been on a Broadway stage. I haven't even done a New York premiere yet. I haven't even done a show in New York yet. So that was a whole thing of people now having an opinion about my work was nerve-wracking. But then it's like you have all these outer things, but you still need to deliver this story. And so just stepping on that stage and seeing the lights go up right before I enter and getting to say, "Nice to meet you, ma'am," that first line, it's just no feeling like it.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You've come full circle with The Color Purple. Tell me about that trip that you and your dad had when you came up to New York to see the show.
Okay, so 10, 11 years ago, I was about 15 years old, and I had won this internship. I had applied for this internship for Bravo on the set, and they were promoting diversity and all this stuff. So they had taken roughly like 10, 15 high schoolers and their parents to New York to learn about media training and all this stuff. So I was one of them selected, and my dad and I got a free trip to New York, and it was my first time in the big city, and it was exciting, and it was free. And my dad, we had some off time, and he said, hi, would you like, or hi, he didn't say hi, but he was like, do you want to go to see a Broadway show? And I was like, of course, I've never seen a Broadway show, and that show was The Color Purple. And I remember being 15, sitting in the mezzanine with my hands like this, just crying, watching LaChance sing I'm Here, watching Felicia P. Fields stomp around that stage and be so present, seeing people that looked like me on a stage in such a professional manner was so captivating to me. And so I remember my dad sitting beside me, and he's a husky guy, and he couldn't stretch his feet out. And so he during intermission stood in the back because he was like, I'm done with this. And I was like, okay, well, you go do that, and I'm going to stay here and enjoy the rest of this show. But I would just remember walking away saying, this is what I am meant to do. I have to do this. And it wasn't just doing The Color Purple, it was acting. Yeah. And so I applied for Juilliard and got in at 17 years old. And now I am living in New York, so and 10, 11 years later, I'm now in The Color Purple. So it really has been a full circle experience for me.
You are flawless as Sofia
Thank
in this
you.
show. I mean, for those of you who've seen it, just absolutely flawless.
Thank you.
You take us on this emotional journey that I can't describe words for what you deliver on stage, but talk about that role and how you relate to her and what Sofia means to you.
Oh, man. I think there is no other time in my career that would have been right to play this part.
Yeah.
I think this was the most perfect fit for me right now where I am, because Sofia is so much about power and living in yourself fully and not caring, really having her own opinion. And that was something that I needed to strengthen. Yeah. So getting to sing a song like Hell No every night means more than people know, because I was dealing with so many insecurities of my own, and it allows me the permission every day to put those aside and say hell no to my fears and say hell no to my insecurities and not feeling good enough. Because I also didn't take voice lessons. I sang in church. That was my lesson. And so to be on a stage with Jennifer Hudson and Cynthia Erivo, who are, they can sing, was a big fear of mine. And so I get to do that every night. And what else it is that same feeling that I felt when I was 15, I now get to deliver to the people that watch it. So the purpose behind it is so great. So I love Sofia. I love how sexual she is too. And I think people forget that if they haven't spent time with the book. This woman had about 6, 7 kids. She got some sexiness to her. She didn't get those men or have those kids from, beating a man. Yeah. So I love getting to play that side of her too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This iconic role was created by Oprah in the film, but you made her your own. What did you learn from her performance when you worked on yours?
What I learned from what I took from Oprah's performance really was honesty and truth. That you have to live in that space. I rewatched the movie, and when I rewatched it, because I knew that Oprah wasn't trained either. This was her first big movie, but what she really did was stay honest. And that's what I wanted to portray more than anything, is to bring the truth to the character. That's really it, yeah.
Was there a breakthrough moment? We have a lot of actresses and actors in the house today. Was there a breakthrough moment during rehearsals for you when you were working on Sofia with your brilliant director, John Doyle, where you said, I'm really on that path now of what I want her to be?
Oh man, taking the journey. First of all, I love rehearsals. That is my favorite part of the process, is being in a rehearsal, because there's like unlimited possibilities when you're in a room. And especially working with John Doyle, who's an incredible director who is so focused on simplicity and the honesty that I was speaking about earlier. So to get to work with him was so thrilling. But what was your question again?
Breakthrough, was your
Yes.
breakthrough moment, like when you walked out of rehearsal one day?
I remember one day really doing Hell No. The first time like I had really started to embody that, how heavy Sofia was, and not like physically heavy, but like how much pain she carried in her body and why she was really saying hell no. Like the first lines are like, I had to fight my daddy, so that's one, my brother, my cousins, my uncles, now my husband. Like there's so much weight to her. And I had to like kind of take a break for like a few seconds and like catch a hold of myself, because I didn't realize the shoes that I was stepping into, where they were gonna take me. And so that was a moment for me that I was realizing how much energy it was gonna take to portray her every day. Yeah. And so, and I did start to find her. I think I found her pretty early. I think it's one of those things where it's meant, you know, like it's just for you, and no one else can take that away from you. So it was that time. It was a role that I'm supposed to be playing. So I think Sofia just lived in my body really naturally. But that was the biggest challenge for me, is really figuring out where she lived in my body, which was a lot to take on.
Oh, sure, when you have to do her 8 times a week.
Oh, yeah. You're like, how am I going to do this? Like, I got to get control of this. Yeah. And that's where the training really helped me. Going to Juilliard really helped to figure out how to shake it off and where I wanted to land and how to not get too so invested where I can't come out of it. Yeah. Really helped there.
Okay, you're working with an incredible cast, including your other 2 leading ladies, Cynthia Erivo and Jennifer Hudson.
Yes.
Who also made their Broadway debuts. You all bonded from day one, didn't you?
Yes, we did. I love those girls. Jennifer has been incredible to work with. She shows me, first of all, what's possible for my life. You know, she's been able to achieve a lot so far, and she's very humble in it, and I appreciate the way in which she shows me no matter how far your star rises, you can still treat people with kindness, you know, and like you don't have to be a mean person. Like you can like be yourself in that respect, and I just appreciate that about her. And Cynthia, she works so hard. She really is a champion. There's no off time for her. And so I really admire that about her as well. But I think the dynamic of us really works well. Oh, yeah. Because we're able to teach each other things. You know, Jennifer hasn't had the training that I've had. So it's nice to help her through that process when we were going through rehearsals and stuff. And you know, Cynthia sings way more than I have. So it's been really nice to really help each other out on this journey.
What do you remember about the first day you saw yourself all done up as Sofia? Clothes, shoes, wig, everything.
I was in shock. I think how I am now, just reminiscing about it, is so like, I don't think people understand how passionate I am about the theater. Like, I love it, man. I love everything about it. I really do. And so to get to step into that part and have the whole outfit, the pregnant belly, the shoes, the hair, I mean, the no makeup again, you know, it's like, it's so thrilling. Like, I wish for every young person that they really do get to experience living in your dream. Yeah. There's no other feeling like it. And so I am so grateful that I get to do that, step and live into what I love to do, especially in the part that inspired me to do it. That ain't nobody but God. It really's not.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take that tissue.
Where did your love for performing begin, and what were those early creative outlets for you?
That's a good question. So it started with church, to be honest. I did my first church play at 6 years old, and I played baby girl, and everybody's like, she's good. And so my mom just found all these programs for me, and I was so fortunate because I didn't realize how many programs there were in South Carolina for the arts, especially for young people. So she put me in a program, and you know, at the time, it's just like theater games you learn and like stuff like that. And from there, I went to a normal middle school, but again, my mother found an academy for me to go to that focused on the arts. And then I went to regular high school, and again, my mother found another program called the Governor's School for Arts and Humanities, which Patina Miller came from, Tiana Paris came, and Nicole Bahari. And so I went to that high school, and that was the beginning stages, because that school was very much like a mini Juilliard.
Yeah.
And they took in about 15, like you had an audition, and they took in about 15 students. And by my senior year, there were only like 11 of us. And so that's where the passion came from. But going back to my church, like I would do oratorical contests there. So they really helped me to just know how to public speak and how to recite things. And like we would do like sketches and stuff. And so I would play like, who did I play? I played, who's about to be on the $20 bill? Harriet Tubman. For like Black History Month, you know, like I was there like go-to actor at church. And I just credit them so much for the foundation. But then that's high school really did help a lot with that.
And then the defining moment was when you saw The Color Purple.
Yes.
How did you tell your parents? How did you tell your parents, this is what I'm going to do?
Well, I think they knew. I think it was more so my mother was very adamant about having that be my focus, but I think for my dad, he comes from a very realistic approach. Mm-hmm. And so I remember I had auditioned for Apollo in New York. They would come to Greenville, South Carolina, the mall, and like audition these kids to be an Apollo Kids. And I had auditioned 3 times. And I was like 11 the third time I auditioned, and I didn't get it. And I was like, Dad, I don't understand why I didn't get it. And he said to me, he's like, Danielle, it's only 1 in 1,000 people that get an opportunity like that. And when he told me that, that's when I was like, I want to be one of those 1,000. I can be that one. And so I think for him, it wasn't until I got into Juilliard, he was like, oh, okay. Like, she has something. He didn't believe it. Like, he wanted to, but I think he just was like, well, let's go the normal route.
Yeah.
Let's figure that out. Let's, get you into school in South Carolina, college in South Carolina, and you'll figure it out. But thank God that, my mom was there to say, no, let's give her a shot,
Love that. You graduated from Juilliard Drama Division Group 40? Mm-hmm. Group 40, let's hear it for Juilliard.
Group 40, yes, Group 40.
All right, so how did the audition come about, and what do you remember about being told you're in?
Okay, my Juilliard process was a very long process. I started in Chicago. There's this thing called Unifieds. And basically, you audition for all of the drama schools there. Like a lot of the high schools from the southern part will come up to Chicago. So I was auditioning for like Minnesota, Carnegie Mellon, Juilliard, NCSA, all of the schools there. And I had gotten into all of them, but Carnegie, they didn't want me. I couldn't dance enough for them. But anyway, I wasn't a good dancer. And I'll say this story. I'll say a few stories, one in which I will always cherish. So at the Unifieds, you're auditioning, And I did 2 monologues. I did The Piano Lesson by August Wilson, and I did Hermione from The Winter's Tale by Shakespeare. And I remember wearing all black, because that's what they taught us to do at the time. And I got a callback, and that was exciting, because at the callback list, there was only about 3 or 4 people that got a callback. But then at the end of the day, they brought like 17 people to do like this whole group callback together. And so in my callback room was a young lady from Atlanta, Georgia, named Jakina Calicango. Yes, and that is my best friend, who is now in The Color Purple with me, and she plays Nettie.
You are known to millions of fans around the world as Tasha Tasty Jefferson on the hit Netflix series Orange is the New Black.
Yes, thanks.
When you got cast, were you only supposed to be in like the first 2 episodes?
Yes, I actually posted a picture on Instagram of my, what do you call it, the audition, or like the breakdown for the audition. And it says, Tasha Jefferson, September 19th, 2012, and it says 2 episodes in caps. And so that was all it was supposed to be. And it turned into now me in season 4 as a series regular. Thank you. It's crazy. Yeah, they changed me over to a series regular after season 2. Wow. And I was in almost every episode of season 1. Yeah. So that's when I say, when it happens, it will happen the way it's supposed to, you know? It really does.
What was your audition like? I mean, that's a big step.
Yeah, so I auditioned for Jen Houston, who's the casting director in New York. And I remember the breakdown was like, she's wearing a muumuu, and like, she's in prison, so don't wear makeup. And I remember going in the audition, and there was another young woman there, and I'm from the school, like I said, be kind. Yeah. So I remember I printed out my sides, which was only 1 page, like 2 lines. It was like the part where it's like, oh, you got those TV titties. That was it, basically. And the girl's like, really kind of stank. And she's like, where'd you get those sides? And I was like, I printed them out, like in my head, like any professional would do. Like, duh. Like, that's what I'm thinking. But I didn't say that part. I was like, I printed them out. And she's like, oh, okay. And you know what? I said, I'm going to give them to you. Here you go. And I gave them to her. And she went in her audition. And I went in. I remember braiding my hair back. And I came in, like, I had clothes on, but when I went into the room, I got put on a muumuu. And like a big t-shirt. And the first thing Jen Houston said to me is that she's like the light of the prison, and she's not, don't play it mean. And I was happy to hear that, because that's already the direction that I wanted to go in. And so I was like, okay, we're on the same page, because the biggest thing, I don't want to play the stereotypical black woman in prison that's ghetto and cusses all the time, even though that's what Tasty does. But there's so much more to her. And so I was glad to hear that. And I sang Shaka Khan in the audition. And I got it. I got the role. And I almost didn't take it. I almost said no, because Tasty had to be topless. Yeah. They wrote it as Tasty was topless, the first scene. And I was like, I called all the casting directors I knew, and it was like, is this gonna mess up my career? Like, this is not the way I wanna start in this business, and all this stuff. And they're like, no, take the job. You need to like, and I called my mom and my mother, who's a minister. Yep. She's also a teacher, but she said, no. She was like, Danielle, don't do it. And my dad was the one to say.
Who's a deacon.
Who's a deacon in the church. He was the one to say, I'm not going to stop you from doing your dream, so do what you want to do. And I did it, and thank God I did. Yeah.
You have the greatest parents, right?
I do have great parents, yeah.
That's amazing. You were filming the 4th season of Orange is the New Black during the day and performing The Color Purple at night. You started to talk about this. How did you manage that? You got like 12 minutes of sleep?
Basically, 10.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah, so there's this thing called passion And that's what will keep you going. You know, so I remember when I was shooting Orange while doing Color Purple. So like I said, it was like during rehearsals and during previews.
Wow.
And I don't know if you know this, but when you're in previews, you still have rehearsals during the day. So we would have rehearsals from 12 to 5 and then do a show at 7 or 8 at night. But what Danielle was doing was 12 to 5, 7 to whatever, and shooting Orange at like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. Wow. And this is my first Broadway show. So it's like, that's what I mean when I say, like, there's no time for thinking. It's just, you have to do the work, and I can't get in my head about it. So before we went into previews, when we were in rehearsals, I would bring my iPad. During my 10-minute breaks, I would memorize my script and make sure that I was ready for the next day of shooting Orange. And, you know, anytime I could grab a nap during, you know, on traveling to rehearsals for Color Purple from Orange, I would take a nap in the car. One time I took a nap in the car, and the driver drove me home. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I'm supposed to go to the theater. Like, I have another job. So I had to, like, take, like, naps, not deep sleeps, you know?
Keep your eye on the driver.
But it was very rigorous. I appreciate my cast,
Yeah.
Both of them. I appreciate Jennifer was great. There was times I didn't have time to grab food, and she would have something for me. And you know, Uzo and Adrian, they were so supportive. And Samira, I remember the day I had to do my first preview, the first time I had to be on a Broadway stage with an audience, I had to also shoot Orange. Oh. And after I had wrapped, all the girls we got in the dressing room, and they prayed over me. And I just am really grateful for that. So, and I got on the stage and it was good. You know, tired, but I held in there.
What is the best bit of advice that you've been given, both personally and professionally, that you live by every day?
Well, I was given advice the other day, and I'm only going to say this because this is where I am right now in my life. Yeah. Niecy Nash came to see the show the other day, and she said, eat the elephant one bite at a time. And what she was saying is, I've been given so many blessings, you know, and it's really kind of a lot to take in, you know. I'm only 26, and so she's just saying, take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and enjoy it. And so that's what I'm trying to do. There's so many factors that can distract you from why you do it and the love of doing it. And so right now I'm just trying to stay focused on really just the love of it, like enjoying the ride, because it only comes once. What I'm experiencing right now, getting to sit with you right now, only comes once in this way. And so that's where I'm trying to stay in, the place that I'm trying to stay in.
You are one of the wisest 26-year-olds I know. I thank you for a magical afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, Danielle Brooks.